Hello. I'm Patty Callison, and I am tonight wearing the Jinx, which is from my alma mater in Kansas, Southwestern College. And I'm wearing it because the story I have to tell you is a story from my home state of Kansas. A traveler was walking down a dusty Kansas road, a country road. The houses were far apart. And he noticed, of course, that the sun was going down. And then he heard it. It was the sound of someone chopping on a chopping block or on a stump. A house, thought the traveler, a place for me to spend the night. And so the traveler followed his ears until the chopping got louder and louder, and he could see a little house, well lit. So he walked up to the door and he knocked. A pretty young woman opened the door and smiled. He told her that he was looking for a place to spend the night, maybe get something to eat, and she gladly invited him in. Inside, the house was simple, but clean, well kept. And an older woman, the mother, was setting supper on a table, coming from behind a blanket that hung to hide the kitchen. Pretty soon an old man came up, and the traveler told him that he would like to spend the night, get something to eat. And the old man was glad to have him there, shook his hand, and they decided on a price. The young woman went to the cupboard and she got out another plate and some more silverware, and she set it on the table. The old man got an extra chair and he put it at the side of the table, away from that old blanket, and said, "Here, sit here in the place of honor." And the traveler sat down. Oh, the food smelled so good. Pretty soon a young man came in, and he was carrying firewood. And he put that by the fireplace, washed his hands, and he sat down himself. They all held hands and said grace, and then the eating began. Oh, and it was good. "Pass the biscuits on down," said the older woman, who had introduced herself as Mrs. Bender. The biscuits were passed, the mashed potatoes and gravy, and the roast. "This is the best meat I've ever eaten," said the traveler. "What is your secret?" "That's my specialty," said Mrs. Bender. Well, they ate and they had a pleasant conversation, some laughter. Pretty soon the young man got up and he took his dirty dishes and took them back to the kitchen behind the blanket. They continued to talk, and the traveler told them of his adventures, when the young man came from behind the blanket with a meat cleaver. Quietly and calmly he walked up behind the traveler and split his head open with the cleaver. Such a surprise was on that man's face as he fell forward onto the table, dead and bleeding. The whole family looked at him, and pretty soon they started clearing the dishes, and the old man wrapped the traveler up in the tablecloth and carried him out back. He took the money that the traveler had and stuck it in his own pockets. A traveler was walking down a country road after sundown when he heard chopping. And that is the story of the Bloody Benders. Now, the thing about this tale, unfortunately, is that it is true. After the Civil War, many men headed west with money in their pockets, good horses, going to find their future and their fortune out west. But they had to go through Labette County to get there. The Benders, a family, it was determined later, wasn't really a family. Maybe Mrs. Bender and the young woman were related, but as person after person disappeared, people became suspicious. But by the time they got to the Benders' homestead, they were gone. They tried to track them down, but they were never found. And so, it is true that the Benders, the Bloody Benders, continued to make that area of Kansas bleeding Kansas. Thank you.